Yes, welcome to Legal Matters, brought to you by Justice and Law Solicitors. We thank God for the gift of life. Today is the day. Ghana, thank God, has already qualified for the next stage of the World Cup, 132nd stage of the World Cup, and we believe and hope that Ghana will do well today and qualify as the leaders of Group L. So our prayers are with the national team, and we hope that they come through safely and probably score like 6-7 and set a new record for an African team in the tournament. And I know that the guys can do it. Every battle has got its own strategy, and we don't care what strategy that we adopt, as long as we come out as winners and we play fair and clean, no favors from nobody, then we are good to go. Today, what are we bringing you today? Today we are going to be looking at people who leave Ghana without putting in place the right mechanisms, such as nurses, doctors, police, people in the army, basically government workers who have traveled to the United Kingdom without following the proper channels, because there has been some incidents over the couple of days about people being arrested at Kotoka International Airport, Accra Airport, whatever you want to call it, when they return home for holidays, and being met at the airport and being arrested for irregularity. I hope you know what I mean. I will go into details. I'll give some examples. And if you are here or in any other country, and basically there is something to be sorted out back home, please kindly put the right stuff in place, because if not, you could become the next victim. So don't think that you got out of the system. The system will not recognize you when you go back. Now, Ghana, due to centralization and digitalization, it doesn't take a minute for an information to come in hand, to lead to your arrest when you get there. I will give some examples, people that I know that it has happened to. This is real. This is first-hand experience. It's not like someone is telling me, because I received a telephone call from someone who traveled to Ghana, and I will give an examples so that we can all educate ourselves. I don't want this to become a pattern where some lawyers in the UK may not have the jurisdiction in Ghana, and then when we are in trouble, we are unable to help. But lucky for my clients, Lawyer Darko, I am dual qualified. I am qualified in Ghana as well as the United Kingdom, and therefore, if I cannot be physically there, the chambers that I am with, they will be able to assist you when you get into problems in Ghana. Some time ago, I did a program with my colleague, Lawyer Tanko, who is a practicing barrister and a solicitor of the Supreme Court of Ghana, that has been very, very busy helping a lot of people in need in Ghana. So by all means, our work is to try to help people to avoid the problems from the first place. But in an event that the problems cannot be avoided, then of course we will come in and do the best that we can, and get you out of the situation. So we'll be talking about that, and hopefully it will go in some ways to help you. We will also be looking at a case that went before the courts And before this case, I did advise a lot of people to hang on in terms of naturalization. In terms of naturalization, I did tell a lot of people to hang on. They shouldn't put in the application until this case is resolved some way, somehow. I'm pleased to say that the case, Home Office have withdrawn a decision and amendment has been done to the character test when it comes to naturalization. So Home Office have now published what they call volume 7 of the character test. I will take my time today and go through what it is and the changes and what are the factors that the Home Office will take into consideration if you have entered the UK illegally or you have overstayed your visa in the past. Now you're indefinite, you want to apply for British citizenship. What is it that they need to look at whenever they are making a decision, and how best to basically to do your application so that it does not get rejected. So we will take our time and go through all that. Hopefully by the time we finish, it will give you a fair idea. To give you a fair idea what you should be looking at when you are making such an application, by all Let's use this time to share the program. If you are watching us on TikTok, power it. Let's get to 20,000, 30,000 today, so that we are all doing our bit to share the news. The news that's come up, especially the character test, is going to benefit some people. And I believe if we take our time and go through, regardless of who you are, you still stand a shot. In the sense that when the Home Office made the announcement in 2025, it was so unclear. But now they have brought some clarity to the whole concept of character. So by all means, if you are watching us, power the program, share the program. Let's take this tune, and then when we come back, we will continue. Don't touch the dial. We'll be back. What is it that we have for you today once again? The first aspect of the program is going to be based on Ghana and also its civil servants. As we all know, the civil service job is normally a job created by the government, and it comes with responsibilities as well as, you know, entitlement, duties, obligations, and entitlements. Generally speaking, some will argue that civil servant job, the incentives that comes with it, most of the time, is better than from the private sector. And as a result, sometimes too, you see that their pay may not be as good as the private sector, arguably. Now, once you work for the civil servant, you know, many are times when you are going to be leaving the employment, there are procedures that need to be followed. See, you need to follow certain procedures, but the reality, unfortunately, is that sometimes some people may decide not to follow that procedure. And where we come from, we have a culture where sometimes we think that it is okay to basically to play smart, you know. And yesterday, for the first time, I had to check the difference between someone thinking that he's smart and someone thinking that he's clever, you see. So for me, if you are smart and you are not clever, that is not enough. Because you can be smart, but a clever person will expose you. If you are smart and you get catch, you will see that the smartest become dumbness. And therefore, it's important that when you are smart, you also have to try and be clever. Yeah. Here, what I am saying is, when people think they are smart, that's when they do the foolishness. They make mistakes because they think they are so smart that they can get away with it without being clever. So when you play smart and you are not clever, you'll be caught. That one, no doubt about that. And at the time that you get catch, that is when you see the stupidity that one has become. There's not any other word of saying this. So a government laid down principles that if you work as a nurse, if you work as a firefighter, you work as a police officer, and you are leaving the service, there are clear procedures that you need to follow. But sometimes we think we are so smart that we have the opportunity of traveling to Europe or America. That is where some of us, the greed will set in. Our brain begin to think we are smart. But being smart without being clever will put you in a big mess. And therefore, when we are living, instead of going through the proper channels, putting down a request or a resignation, we try to be smart. We don't do these things. So some of us, what do? We call our bosses and say, boss, I'm traveling to, for example, I'm traveling to the UK. I'm going to work as, say, a nurse. The boss will then sit down and say, well, if you are traveling to the UK, thank you for letting me know. How do you want to go about it? Is it okay if I put your name on the payroll or your name stays on the payroll? And then when the money comes, you give me my cut. This is called ghost name. Where you don't exist, you are not around. But the name is taking money from the government. So now, I will call it theft. Because the definition of theft means you are appropriating a property, being the cash, belonging to the other, which is the government, with the intention of permanently depriving someone of his property, being the cash. So now we have a situation where you are out of the system, but your name is within the system as a ghost name. The money comes in, you take your cut, your boss knows that you are not there. Instead of finding a replacement, no, your name is still there. So what then happens? The work that you are supposed to do, indirectly, those people who are there are going to be coerced into doing it. Are you being fair to your colleagues that you have left behind? Are you being fair to the Ghanaian government? And are you being fair to the Ghanaian, and are you being fair? And are you being fair to the taxpayer in Ghana? The answer is no. And therefore we ask that if you are out of the system, don't wait until too late. Because this week, someone got arrested at Kotoka International Airport. That is exact thing that was going on. You know, this week, someone got arrested. Last week, somebody got arrested. Last 2 weeks, somebody got arrested. So it seems to me that it's becoming the pattern. In another case, the person told them that I'm leaving. The person left, but whatever was going on behind, the person wasn't aware. But the fact that the person did not put down a resignation letter, the person did not serve the resignation time and went through the proper channel and get a letter to confirm the termination of his employment contract, this person is in a mess. So now, due to digitalization, some people take a loan from the government that they will pay, and then they will just do japa. They will just wahala. They will just disappear. And now Ghana is serious. They are taking very, very strong actions against those people who were working for the government. Something has been done in their name, or they done something and do japa. So if you know that you were working for the government as a soldier, for example, as a police officer, for example, and you are doing something shady, be careful. Because upon your arrival at the airport, the chances are that you are not going to reach home. Straight away, you'll be taken to BNI office. You're going to have to explain yourself what has happened. Because the government is now going through all the ghost names, and people, information are being taken out. And investigations are being conducted on a higher level. People will say, how can this happen? If you know about aviation laws or rules, before even you go on the plane, the host country or where the plane is going, they know the number of people who are coming, their names, their date of birth, their nationalities. Believe in me, that is what happens. That is the reason why you get to the airport, you have to check in. As soon as you check in, we know that Madam Efia Kwanza is on Ghana Airways 385, departing from London Gatwick to Accra, Ghana on the 27th of June 2026 of the year of our Lord. Departure time at 2 o'clock, arrival time at 8 p.m. All these details are passed on from the UK to the Ghanaian government. Because of technology these days, you don't have to be a magician. You don't have to be Kwaku Bonsam. All that you need to do is to run the names in your database. People who are wanted, people that you want, people that you need. people who are of interest. So as soon as you do that, the name comes up. If the name is David Darko, straight away, any David Darko on that flight will be matched against, what do we call it? Will be matched against the database. And it will be matched against the names in the database. And then it will bring it up. So you get to Kotoka International Airport or Accra Airport. And then what then happens? Immigration officer have to check your details, right? Before they will allow you entry into the country. So they check your details. David Darko, wanted by BNI. Mr. David Darko, you sit here for me for one moment. Before you know, BNI is at the airport. They comes to you. Oh, are you David Darko? Yes. Well, you are a person of an interest. Did you used to work for Kwalibu Hospital? Oh, yes. I was working for them about 2 years ago. Oh, okay. Interesting. When did you leave the country? They have all this information, but they will ask you. You see, one of the best methods of an interrogator is that they will not ask you a question that they don't know the answer. That is what lawyers do. Before any lawyer asks you a question, they know the answer. Before you start talking, they know where you are going. So that is the reason why there's a colloquial saying that you cannot be dumb and stupid and become a lawyer. Because before a lawyer opens their mouth, they know what they are talking about. They know where things are going. And they are very good indicators. They can predict. They can foresee. And therefore, they see things before a lot of people see it. So when you are dealing with a lawyer, don't take him for granted. Believe in me. Because he reads your brain before even you start thinking it. Before you start saying it. So it's very, very important that if you are one of those people, you know that something, underhand has gone on, you better go and correct yourself. Because the embarrassment that you face at the airport is not worth any amount of money. That is what I will say. So what I say is this. If you know you left in a, some kind of way, not the proper way, you better go back and sort it. If there's any difference, any change to pay, you better pay. Because either you pay today, you're going to pay tomorrow. So BNI will come, they start asking all these questions. Yeah. And they said, well, you're on our database, you're a person of an interest. We need to take you to the head office. You say you are going to Ghana for 2 weeks holiday. You will end up spending about 6 days, 7 days at the head office. Your passport may be confiscated. If you are lucky, you may be granted a bail, pending a further investigation. Because according to the Ghanaian Criminal Code, every suspect have got the right to be granted bail, or every suspect have got the right to apply for bail. But it's not to be granted bail. You have the right to apply for it, but it will be at the bosom of the judge to decide whether you are low risk, high risk, or medium risk, and whether bail will be appropriate in your circumstances. And therefore, this is something that is happening. So if you know that you did not live the right way, if you know that some shady deals have gone on, if you know that something inappropriate has happened after your departure, during your departure, or before your departure, I think it's very, very important that you go to your human resources, your bosses, whatever the case may be, and clear yourself. Because if you don't do that, believe in me, you get to Ghana airport, they are going to clear it for you. At least I know of 3 people within the last 2 weeks that it has happened to. So this is not a one-off incident. If the first one, when I heard it, I said, oh, maybe it's one of those things. Second time, I said, what is going on? And then third time, I said, now, I better come here and let my people know. So that, if there's anything that they can do, then of course, they can then do it. Don't wait until it is too late. Because how crude and how embarrassing that it will be that you get to the airport You know, you book your holidays, everything is arranged, going with your wife, your husband, your children, and then you get to the airport and mommy is being arrested, daddy is being arrested, your children are going to be devastated. The holiday experience that they are supposed to be a very good holiday experience will become a nightmare holiday. I believe that we don't want that. And therefore, it's up to you and me to do something about it. How do you solve this conundrum? How do you solve this problem? You have your human resources personal manager, your manager, at work. Give them a call. Talk to them. Identify the issues, identify the problems, and then find a way to resolve it. Because if not, you're going to find yourself in a tickle, in a mess. And you don't want that. Whether you like it or not. If a deal goes wrong, it goes wrong. And someone must pay. Someone must pay for the innocent blood that they shed every day. So if you know it yourself. If you are not sure, then of course you also need to perhaps check with your management and see what you can do. If there's a problem, solve it before it becomes a bigger problem. So that is all that I can say in that respect. I would say that if you come on the TikTok, try and mute yourself for us. So that the noise doesn't come into the program. Now I'm learning a bit more about TikTok. If you come and there is noise, I will just mute you instead of cutting you off totally. If you are through small teachings from Afia, I'm learning every day the TikTok how it works. So now when someone comes and it's noisy, we just mute the person so that the program doesn't get messed up. So if you come in and I mute you, it's not someone will say it's not for any bad reason, but just to allow the program to flow. That is the reason why I will mute you. And I hope that we have I would say an understanding. Thank you very much for that. Now, let's look at. You drew a year, Friday say, you drew question time, I be beyond Manatum. Why? And two bad, where did I saw my time? This why be beyond Manatum. Your question beyond now it's in your busa. Okay, so now, the second subject or the second thing that I will talk about is a case that went before the courts. As we know, last year, February, Home Office came from nowhere and they made an announcement that anyone who entered the UK illegally, you came here without a visa, basically. Your application for citizenship or naturalization will normally be refused. When you say normally be refused, the word normally as a sound means that it is not automatic. And if something is not automatic, then it is what? A discretionary. And therefore, it gives the Home Office a discretionary powers to decide whether to refuse someone who entered illegally or not. And we all know the dangers of discretion. It leads to inconsistency. So, for example, you tell me your story, I may feel sorry for you. Another person will tell me his story, I may not feel sorry for the person, depending on the mood that I am in and maybe the way I was brought up. Now, let's look at this example. Maybe Lawyer Darko here, I was once a refugee as an example. J.J. Rollins, or maybe I will say Akufo Addo, I will say Mahama wanted to kill me as an example. And I ran to the United Kingdom and I applied for an asylum, you see. And through that, I was granted leave. I am now a British citizen. Because I've gone through the process of facing persecution, my lived experience will be different from someone who was born in Ghana. The father was British, and the father simply did British passport for him to come over to the UK. Maybe when I was coming to the UK, because my life was in danger, I had to travel through Burkina Faso, Mali, Libya, Italy, Belgium, France, UK. And now I am a citizen. Say that is my lived experience. Because of the torture, because of the, the challenges that I went through. Do you think my experience will be the same as someone who just got a direct flight from Kotoka International Airport to Gatwick Airport in the UK? Maybe, maybe not. But on the balance of probabilities, it's more likely than not that my experience is so different from such an individual. If someone came in as a asylum seeker or a refugee, technically one could argue that I will have a soft spot for such individual because we shared common lived experience. We are talking about probabilities here. I'm not saying that it is certain, but the chances, because we share things in common, we've gone through the same issues, and therefore such an individual, if I'm looking at their case, it's more likely that I will be more understanding, more sympathetic, and therefore more chances of granting such an individual their citizenship. So therefore imagine that the caseworker is someone who just came in direct. Their life experiences, lived experience is different. And therefore what I may find to be persuasive, he may not find that to be persuasive. It's as simple as that. And therefore it can, lead to problems. So this is where when you give discretion, it leads to inconsistency. No doubt about that. So in this case, such application will normally be refused. And I can tell you, I've done cases for people with similar kind of situation. Majority of them, the application were granted. 2 of them were refused, which we are still fighting through administrative review. So when this case went to court, I sort of, and when I go to refusal letters, I start telling my clients to hold on. One is watching me, send me a message about 12 a.m. this morning that, lawyer, is this the case that you were waiting for? Yes, it is the case that I was waiting for. And the case has come out. And I'm going to go through the case, what happened in the case. And then you then have to make your decision as to whether you still want to proceed or not. Because I simply do not know if I do such an application, whether it's going to be successful or not. But I can only do the best that I can. That is the reason why today I have taken time, and I'm going to take time to go through the Home Office new version of the character test. So that you know it yourself, I know it myself. We put our heads together and then we give it our best shot. So this is a case that was brought by Wilson Solicitors to the High Court. And the case was held on 9th of June 2026. We've just got the outcome on the 24th of June 2026. So I'm mentioning this so that before someone start lashing me, why are you saying it now if the case was on the 9th of June and we are now at the end of June? I'm saying it now because the case has just been published. When the case goes to court, they are not going to say it straight away, you see. It's going to be a matter of, if you like, time before it gets published. So as soon as I received the publication, I said, no, I better come here and let people know, what is going on. Because a lot of people are waiting, and I've advised a lot of people to wait so that we know exactly what the judges will say. And I'm pleased to say that the judges have talked. Home Office have made some compromises, and I'm going to go through with you. And at some point, we will also look at the changes of the guidance notes, when it comes to making decisions in relation to naturalization. So you'll be looking at that. Now, let's look at this very carefully. Like I said, the case was brought by Wilson and Co. solicitors, and the case was heard on the 9th of June, 2026, at the High Court. In fact, it was joint case. The first case was GUN, G-U-N. Second case is NEA, and the third case is HCH. And this is a case that the Home Office withdrew the original refusals of the citizenship application and reconsideration decisions. And basically what the Home Office said was that when you look at the guidance notes in version 6, they have accepted that it was not clear, because if you say an application will normally be refused, it did not take into consideration the best interest of children. It did not also take into consideration the circumstances of the individuals, and it did not also take into consideration Article 31 of the Geneva Convention, which I love this word so much, the principle of non-refoulement. So, the French speakers, you understand. You cannot force someone to the country that he returned from, knowing that their life is endangered. And therefore, if that is the case, then therefore you cannot refuse their application for citizenship, as it goes against the principle of non-refoulement. So basically, no return. You cannot return them back to the countries that they came from. Now, in February 2025, the Home Office changed its good character guidance. It said that a person who had entered the UK illegally, or who had arrived without valid entry clearance or electronic travel authorization after making a dangerous journey, would normally be refused British citizenship. The policy applied regardless of when the persons had arrived in the United Kingdom. So it was a very, very, very draconian policy. No, arguably, no thought in it. It's just that you have entered UK illegally, and therefore application that you make will automatically be refused. It did not take into consideration, European Convention on Human Rights, Geneva Convention, and also so many factors were not considered. Was the person under 18 when the breach occurred? And we know that under UK law, if you're under 18, normally you will not be responsible for your immigration affairs. Your parents will be, but this policy did not care about none of this. And therefore, they started refusing people. Left, right, middle, center, north, south, everywhere. So these people say, no, this case cannot go on like this. So they're being challenged. It's not right and it's not fair. And therefore, the Home Office decided, or individuals decided, that, it's important that it is challenged. And therefore, a challenge came through. The case called before the court of the High Court, and then subsequently, the case came before the High Court judges on 9th of June. And basically, Home Office conceded that the policy is problematic. So now you see people have got the headlines. Home Office withdraws refusals in good character citizenship policy challenges. Home Office withdraw refusals. It does not necessarily mean that the policy has changed. This is where we need to be very careful. These people took the Home Office to court. Listen very, very carefully. Home Office refused these people, GUN, NEA, and HCH. Home Office withdrew the decision to refuse. It's not the same thing as the policy has changed. And therefore, we will look at the new guidance, the new notes, what it says now. Now, following this case and the challenge, Home Office decided to look at their policy again. And they have made some tweaks, some small changes. It does not mean that the policy has been, cancelled, has been null and void. or nullified, but they have made tweaking, amendments, small changes to it. And today we are going to be looking at those changes. And then you can then make up your mind whether to put in the application now or not. Sometimes people come to me, oh, lawyer, lawyers are no magicians. We are advisors. All that we can do is to advise you. You will then have to make the decision. You hear me now? That's all that we can say today. So we are going to look at what the Home Office is saying. And before we do that, it's now 12 o'clock. Let me just take a quick break, get some water to drink, and then we will continue. Right. So now, because of this case, Home Office have been forced to basically go back and amend or update their definition and also the guidance notes to case workers when they are making decisions concerning naturalization and illegal entry. Now the version 7, which was published in April. We are going to take our time and go through point by point, stage by stage, and then see to what they are saying. Okay. Now, good character, as you can see, this is the version 7. It's about 62 pages. There you go. And when you look at the back here, it's called the rehabilitation period. Yeah. And this is something that is very, very important. The rehabilitation of the offenders, Northern Ireland Order, 1978. Period of rehabilitation. Now, let's go through the rehabilitation first before we come to the changes that has been incorporated into the law. Right. So, if someone is sentenced to imprisonment for life, rehabilitation means you have finished the sentence and therefore it cannot be used against you anymore. So if, for example, Lawyer Darko, I have been sentenced to, say, 12 months imprisonment, and I've been to prison for 12 months, and I come out, that is still going to be hanging on me for some years before I will be deemed to be rehabilitated and therefore cannot be used against me after that period had lapsed or expired. So we are going to go through, for the purposes of naturalization, what we should be looking at. So now, we call something rehabilitation of the offenders regulation. And if you are sentenced to life imprisonment, it is excluded from rehabilitation of the Offenders Order 1978 or of the Offenders Act of 1978. So that means once you have been sentenced to life imprisonment, you can never be rehabilitated. You are done. It's for life. Now, a sentence of imprisonment or corrective training for a term exceeding 30 months. And when we talk about 30 months, 12 months is 1 year. So 30 months, you are looking at about 2.5 years. Once again, if you are sentenced to imprisonment for 2.5 years or more, you are also excluded from rehabilitation. That means any application that you make for naturalization is automatic refusal. Now, a sentence of imprisonment or corrective training for a term exceeding 6 months but not exceeding 30 months. So, a sentence exceeding 6 months but not exceeding 30 months. So, between 6 months to 2.5 years then you have to wait for 10 years to come, expire, lapse, before you be deemed to be rehabilitated. If the offense that has been committed was committed by you and you were under the age, you were over the age of 18, you have to wait for 10 years before you be deemed to be what? To be rehabilitated. If you are under 18, it's 5 years. When it comes to criminal law, the age of criminal responsibility is 10 in England. The principle of dolai in capa, the age of criminal responsibility. From the age of 10, you are capable. You are criminally liable. So we should bear this in mind. You are looking at 10 years for adult, 5 years for children. A sentence of cashiering, discharge with ignominy or dismissal with disgrace from HM services. So basically taking bribes. And you are done sentencing. For cashing in, you are looking at 10 years from the date of conviction for adults, 5 years for children. A sentence of imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. You are looking at 7 years from the date of the conviction, in respect of which the sentence was imposed. 42 months from the date of conviction, in respect of which the sentence was imposed if you are a child under 18. A sentence of dismissal from HM services, Her Majesty's or His Majesty's services. 7 years from the date of the conviction for adults, 42 months from the date of the conviction for children under 18. Any sentence of service, detention within the meaning of the Armed Forces Act of 2006, or any sentence of detention corresponding to such a sentence in respect of conviction in service, disciplinary proceedings, and so on and so forth. Then you are looking at 5 years for adults, 30 months for children. And then you are looking at offenses such as a fine or any other sentence subject to rehabilitation under this order. You are looking at 5 years from the date of the conviction in respect of which the sentence was imposed. So now, when they say a fine, even traffic offense can lead to a fine. It does not matter whether the fine is £1, £2, £3, £4, whatever. Now, for naturalization purposes, you are looking at 5 years. So you need to bear that in mind. It's very, very important. Now, let's look at what has changed in terms of the criminality aspect or illegal entry aspect of the rules. Like they say, any decision that they make, they need to take into consideration certain factors. Despite the fact that you entered illegally, does not mean that your application must be refused straight away, as it has been established. However, Home Office need to take into consideration the following. If they don't, you have a case to complain about. It's very, very important that they take all this into account when they are making decisions. So, the new guidance said that factors to consider, unless there are sufficient countervailing positive factors to demonstrate that a person is of good character on the balance of probabilities. A person will not normally be considered to be of a good character if there is information to suggest that any of the following applies. So now, the new guidelines, volume 7. Someone will not be considered to be of a person of good character if one of the following applies. What are they? 1, criminality. When we talk about criminality, according to the guidance, it says as follows. if they have not respected or are not prepared to abide by the law. For example, they've been convicted of a crime, or there are reasonable grounds to suspect, meaning it is more likely than not that they have been involved in a crime. So mere suspicion alone, if the Secretary of State suspects that you have been involved in a crime, then of course it's a legitimate reason for the purposes of naturalization to refuse your application. So it is for this reason that I always advise people, even if you have a pending case, you have not been convicted yet, but there is a pending case against you, then under those circumstances, it is important that you do what? That you sort of, it's important that you disclose it. You need to say, you know what? I've done this, but it's pending. I've done this, but I was given a caution. I've done this, but this is the outcome. It's very, very important. Because if you don't, and they run through PNC, Police National Computer, and something comes up, and it shows that, you have a case pending, they have a legitimate grounds to refuse your application. It's very, very important that we bear this in mind. 2, international crimes, terrorism, and other non-conducive activity. If they have been involved in or associated with war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, terrorism, or other actions that are considered not to be conducive to the public good. If you are involved in such activity, then of course, this is also a factor that the Home Office may take into consideration. Financial soundness. If their financial affairs have not been appropriate, it has not been appropriate in the right order, or, for example, you are deliberately failing to pay into the system. So, for example, if you have failed to pay taxes, the taxman bring the bill and you just don't want to pay. Naturalization, they can get you there. If, for example, council tax bills, you are not paying, a private person has taken you through the bankruptcy route, that one too, you can find yourself in a mess. So it is very, very important that we take all this into account. Thirdly, notoriety. Notoriety is a case where someone is notoriously famous for doing stupidity, for doing bad stuff, being inhumane, someone who is a crass, no respect, no boundaries, and the person is known for it, then the person will be seen as being, a person will be seen as having a notoriety. When you say someone is notorious, someone who is despicable, someone who has not got any respect for himself and for his community and for people around him. Such an individual is famous not for good reasons, but for his bad reputation. Such an individual is known as crass, notorious, and therefore such an individual will not be spared. Now, deception and dishonesty. Notoriety, it goes with deception and dishonesty. When someone is deceiving, calculative, and dishonest, then of course, such an individuals will also face the wrath of the immigration. So for example, they have been deliberately, they calculate their behaviors and their actions. In the eyes of men, they act like an angels. As soon as there is dark, that is where the nastiness and the rawness of their behavior comes out. So therefore, if someone is so deceptive, so dishonest, and they deliberately, dishonestly, or deceptively deals with the UK government, for example, they don't pay their taxes. For example, they've got, say, sexually transmitted diseases and intentionally passing on to innocent people. Such an individual, they will burn in hell. And the law recognizes that. You have disease and you are just spreading it, passing it on. And the person becomes notorious, and the person will use deception and dishonesty to spread it and kill as much as he wants or she wants. The law recognizes that, and the law will not forgive you. So that is that one. And then the next bit is immigration-related matters. Someone is being told to report, and the person did not report. The person is playing hide and seek, cat and mouse with immigration authorities. The person has used fake documents in the past. The person has been caught harboring immigrants. The person is doing deals with immigration. The person is also notorious. The person is doing all sorts, taking money from people and not doing the right time by them, using their immigration status to threaten them. You have all this situation, then the rule says that, such an individual, non-compliance with immigration requirements, they will take that into account and into consideration. And then you look at deprivation. Deprivation, if they have previously been deprived of their citizenship. The rule says that the list is not exhaustive. That means Home Office may decide to take whatever they want to take into consideration when making decisions when it comes to your naturalization applications, including also any voluntary jobs that you've done. Sometimes when you ask people or you tell people, look, there's a voluntary job here, go and apply so that you can get an experience. The individual tells you that, why should I work for free? The person is entitled to their beliefs and their opinions. But I will say to you, if at all possible, try your best and get some experience done, because it goes a long way to help you. That's what I can say. Because if I'm going to employ someone and someone has got an experience, the other one hasn't got no experience, I haven't got time at the workplace to be babysitting. It's as simple as that. And therefore, on the balance of probabilities, based on the individual's experience, he is more likely to be hired than the one who does not have any experience. So when you do good, it pays. When you do bad, you pay the price too. So whatever we do, there is always a price for us to pay. And in this life, we all get what we deserve in the end. So it's very, very important that whatever you do, if what you cannot do in the light, don't go and do it in the dark. That is all that I say. That's my principle. That is my policy. If you cannot do it in the light, don't do it in the dark. Because regardless of what, at the end of the darkness, there will be what? There will be a tunnel. And the tunnel will always shine. Because light will penetrate through, regardless of how hard you try to deceive, be dishonest, and hide. Because the truth shall always come. So it's very important that your conduct, the way you carry yourself, the way you go about business, People will respect you if you respect yourself. People will not respect you if you don't respect yourself and you don't respect others. When you come to the country, do the best that you can and play by the rules. Obey the rules so that you don't get yourself in a mess. Sometimes you think you've got away with it. But karma is like a boomerang. It goes and it comes back and hits you. And sometimes when it hits you, you might not be able to recover. You know, so it's very, very important. You know, very, very important that we do what? That we are able to, you know, look after ourselves, our community, and the people around us. Make sure that we stay away from crime, because there is no point. Like, for example, someone who got arrested because of 250 mils of water. It's ridiculous. It costs about 50p or something like that. And you go and steal it. I mean, how crazy does that sound? You know, so we have to be very, very careful the way things are going in this country and the way things are, you know, we all have to be very, very careful. So I've given you the criminality aspect and also what the Home Office may consider when making your their decisions. But you also need to look at factors that they will take into consideration, you know, that will weigh in your favor, even if you entered the United Kingdom illegally. It's very, very important. So I always say to people, if you are doing an application, it's very, very important that you also do what? Any behavior, anything that you have been involved in, if you feel that, you know, it needs to be disclosed, there can be a question mark, disclose it. Now, Home Office, their new guidelines. This is what they are saying about people who have overstayed, illegal entry, and those who arrive without a required valid entry clearance. It's very, very important that we do what? That we look at that as well. It's very, very, you know, important that we look at that as well. Now, what the Home Office is saying is this: arrivals outside of the applicant's control. Maybe you are a victim of trafficking, and this has been reported to the Home Office, and you came in and without your control, you do not know how you entered the country. Traffickers brought you to this country. What the Home Office is saying that under those circumstances, then of course they will be sympathetic towards your cause. If you are a refugee, you came in as a refugee and your application was successful, you see. So basically they accepted your claim. In that case, they say that they will accept it and they will not use it against you. And therefore, the principle of non-refoulement is working here. And if you are also under 18, then of course, you cannot be held responsible for the sins of your parents. So what is what the Home Office is saying at the moment. But I know that there will be more challenges in respect to people who came in without a visa, because each and every case is different. And I believe that Home Office will also take this into consideration, what you've got to say. Some people have been here for so long, exceptional grants. Some people have been here for so long where, you know, it would be unreasonable to not to grant them naturalization. And Home Office have given examples where they will grant under exceptional grounds, under the volume 7 of the guidance to the Home Office workers, and you know, when it comes to naturalization. Now let's look at some of the examples. The person's criminal conviction is for an offense which is not recognized in the UK, or there is no comparable offense. For example, homosexuality or membership of a trade union may be an offense in other jurisdictions. So if you were convicted in those jurisdictions and you come to the United Kingdom, then that will not basically be used against you. A person in their late 60s has offending committed a long time ago, which will normally require refusals of citizenship due to a 2-year custodial sentence. But over 40 years have passed since the last conviction. So you're over 60, the offense that you committed over 40 years ago, Home Office said they will spare you when it comes to naturalization. A person who entered illegally 14 years ago would normally require refusal of citizenship as an illegal entrant, but has been recognized as a victim of trafficking, having been trafficked into the UK. So basically, you came in illegally 14 years ago, and if you do such an application, it will normally be refused. However, if you are recognized as a victim of trafficking, then the Home Office will put that away. Also, a person with one single 14-month custodial sentence from 12 years ago will also be spared. A person who has a significant, partially unpaid NHS bill will also be spared. However, it also says that Home Office have a discretion that they can also grant to individuals, but it's all down to the caseworker, and a decision will be taken on a case-by-case basis. So basically, Home Office has clarified this, and now it seems to me it will be more difficult if you entered illegally to be able to get British citizenship. One is hoping that they will soften it now that there's going to be a change of the Prime Minister. I don't know. And as we know, whenever there's a change of Prime Minister, there's also going to be change of personnel in all different departments. At the moment, that is what we have. But I believe that people will still take the government on because we don't think it's fair. If you are working, you are making contributions, you entered illegally through no fault of your own, and so on and so forth. Under those circumstances, I think, people need to be spared, to be given a break. But we wait to see what is going to happen. So that is all that I have for you today. It's 12:35. Let's activate the telephone lines for about 20 minutes. And then we can then bring the program to an end. As I speak to you, people are still calling me. It's not easy, but we're doing the best that we can. Hopefully, you'll be able to take a lot of phone calls and answer questions that you may have. So bear with me whilst I put this song on, and then I can then activate the phone lines on Facebook as well. So by all means, we thank you very much for listening. And we're gonna take in your phone calls very soon. Hello, yes, the telephone lines are now activated. If you're watching us on Facebook and you want to call into the program, the number is 07538 969 589. If you also want a shout out on TikTok, then by all means you can also send us an invite and we will then accept you. And if you have any contribution or any question that you may also ask. I might also say this before we continue the program. We have a brother who has set up a security company called Heaven's Gate. So if you're looking for a security personnel for your events, by all means, get in touch with him. In due course, I'll get his details and I will also let you have all the details, the contact details. If you wish, I'll be able to pass that on to you. So by all means, that's the way we do it. We help ourselves and we help our own as well. Let's support ourselves and each other. Yeah, let's do it. Heaven's Gate Security. So by all means, at some point, I will bring all the details on board so that you know exactly what is going on. Yes, now the lines are also activated. If you want to call in, the lines are now activated. As I was doing the show, people were ringing left and right, middle, center. I couldn't pick because of the fact that the program was going on. Mama Boat ready, maybe I will be a chia. Yes, Tiwa Pessoa Casabia, and say the SMB lines to me now, Mutimi Eddie, Mutimi, Etimi ever showing so. But I did not to mute, so Tiwo Bana Pessoa Casana the mute. How do you unmute people? I say, oh, okay. All right, that's fine. And Tiwo Pessoa, by all means, let me know. Send an invite. I will accept all the invite, and then you can then also by all means get in touch. Let me just accept all the invite first, and then if you have any question by all means beat me afraid now, feel free. I am that I am. Okay. All right. Okay. Like I said, the lines are now activated. If you come in and you want to talk, by all means, feel free. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Mpachoweni.
Mama Boots in you, Nana Hema.
Nana Hema reading. Yankwe. Na bibia boko de.
And Yamiadum lawyer Bibia Boko Pa.
And Yamiasi. I hope so. Musafuni they are alive and kicking.
Yamiadum, Yin and I am ready for you now, so Churchill.
Idiomoso.
Lawyer ready, me friend Mabo, but last week, Nanka me benchina. I won't find meeting in Yam. And me bo about so would you media with the my. Now, we TikTok and the lady now, or yana. O ye man or ya de pa me bonabaso. Nefin so ya da wasi with media kesi aya na odi mai. Now we dey me bisa question BCC am pacho. Me nipa bi na o se odi COS ni bi ne ba o ni ni kunu. Na wa be wo ha na opese odi akra ni kofi. Na odi ne kwa which me as a kofana by in be a 1 or 2 years time.
Se otimeje visa makra na COS no de buy no ogina no aso eje visa makra na. The answer is questionable because once you go out of the country for so long now, it be problematic. And Home Office have this unwritten rule that if you stay away for more than 6 months, then that means won't take room. And everything about be a problem.
She's not wet, she's out bed.
International say, oh, yeah, ya won wa good basic crown. What didn't call away no 1 year or two no crown, kita sa ujena or kitani bidia. There is no reason Bema chance amount in a bag.
I know the Ayeka. And you know, I saw J. Visa Kitano, no GB man. Anna and no crowns when I didn't say, oh, my crown not in our long term. Anyway, she can do me say, ya walk around with Rumuano. Say, mammy no, subsequently, Ebinya indefinite, and as a British passport, obeting and naturalize your crown. No, I get British passport of my crown from outside the United Kingdom.
Okay, it's not me meet the okay ye dear. Obey me the Omako. Na onya indefinite no naturalize obet me agb e dia kofo maba
no naturalize one provided is here won kra no okromu a
yes okay and him say eno mo mbeboa okay mati lawyer ene me dance pa
okay
ya me shira nya adwuma pa o ye
no problem
lawyer 1
me nko am ye ba ko pe
lawyer 1 obenda ko bu akra ni tire ma bobe wan kasa
ma be me shi
na obenda ko fo de mu bua o obenda ko edin da ko obenda ko na kwaku asa be ka ho
nyansa ne de fa ne kwa
kwaku a obua do jai I shall near Branty, she, lawyer Oberduma,
Mother
Rama, Star Pani, Juma, or ye my, your community, ye niso de, or ye my pa, Medas, to make a crime will be so a baby.
Yes, that was it.
Make sure I life for you, phoning in, I'm penny phoning in, and say, Mamma, how on call when you are quite a hey, now say, positive me message no so di be you cry sana meeting in Kamichiano pa
obi a show so share when we be travel
anya grow me tia you bye
hello Mr. Alfonso.
Hello,
hi, good afternoon. Na jump patrol
so ko obi abanso ya we kasa sa mediachi do ka na mso ka so sui e da wase no eduma pa we
ya da wase
ai me de hwe ka na metiso na mse no information de ba se se ye ya wo kan se bi o wata to bia so bia ti de tu no fo because it's not meaning but who can me ka se bi o but do o de o kan e de kure pa wo di ha so wo ye eduma wo ba di ye eduma it is as if it is na supam na sebe am I man nyansa it lawyer ida say we need to meta
yes you was
and no answer be boy paso say o my tip off no tinsanka udi
thank you very much bye bye
with the right time the music the right time to know we just for now
okay it has it hello patrol with me akasa TikTok
yeah the patrol good afternoon lawyer
hi good afternoon to you now patrol din the send akasa free
your friend Kofi Boateng
eja Kofi Boateng yanko
me kasa free Croydon
I want to show who dey
wana me bo
okay
me the COAC bi na buy na the main applicant na ayi na free so
eish
am I man 60 days and na many option bi and no I call claim for asylum and asylum na ko claim ya no almost say within time to meet me adwuma and today say don't have be say come here so meet me anya ware bi a am I na advice be na ka do me
okay 60 days na twema na say ntwem
in terms of my asylum application say mo asylum so but you know my response be my nyanko interview no a conference interview a second interview
yeah say you know basically what can say oh yeah waria the any kakra be ba ho put it that way
okay
but I don't say enyi
okay
very possible say they may call you for an interview
okay
ana so be so dia na so be bi o bra bom na so person ware ndi aye ni ntem before so visa dey ba be we no
okay
because Ceciano a screening interview, initial interview no akono. Afi no mbeko proper interview, detailed interview. Everything we are taking about 4 hours. And send them up to make a decision. Now, I know sometimes the problem a one say question we be and say ada na bad. Now one man be apply asylum. Now after I can't say free crew mo econo. After na be apply asylum. E ba say be free credibility. Without to kakra ba anything that you say. And you know, but man so actually say the fact is say we go crew mo ano. And no one say your fear of persecution cannot arise.
Okay.
So the fear can arise even tomorrow or even today. It is a last week. And I said, I mean fear. And I said, and then say me fear. I fear. You need to listen to me. And therefore you have to make objective assessment. So the maker would a reasonable person believe that is the case. About the standard there, I am very difficult for a lot of people to believe you.
Okay.
And you know, say, what's your baby? No, also do number some already any intent to manadia. Watch out for the asylum. The cannot me redraw.
Okay.
Before say, if you 60 days never so. Because 60 days in your sope, not just a visa, so you no. And a visa so woo. And rather say you have to go back home to reapply to come back in.
Okay.
Until you are against time, Kakra, you know, you probably need to step up.
Okay. But what about say me serious so I know so much now.
When you're serious, I wait me a bit depending the type of job or babe, you know. Once a care work, you know, and one by simple. It's a bit depending the type of COS, or any the type of job or babe. Why? And you know, Fetty Boom Boom, Obi, when you be now, say, you check him out, I just call the office and then we can just check for you whether in that particular COS no. Obi to switch here. Why?
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, office line.
A group call your profile, Honmana, why? And I say call your website.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Pacho did say like I say free.
If I'm a Richard, do you know who name me?
Richard, do you know me? Do you know? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, you
no problem. Your boy, you are very day.
Lawyer, me person me busa questions by me answer. The kind of. Let me who say. Bibia or the member of my mubia. How many years now? As a car or Saturday renewals. I know you're number one. Mamiano, my number 2. So, Home Office guidelines lecture say, Oba, Ebeka 28 days a man now would do renewal and what would application call within 28 days. So that means a dear Bechimpo, and as I don't have visa with that medical. But my whole 1 month, made your people whom ya may catch will be I said, my who 2 months. Send a year, I send you one, ubit me any 1 month spare at their resolve. And moreover, no application as he says, so Sacobons are no. Ubenya appointment at Bacobons are not 2 weeks, crabber, and I said 3 weeks, in some cases 4 weeks. And to Ubrus winning tema and when the year contem. Young number 2, so. Lawyer, me does it. Number 2, meaning say, and also your different people will be at the back, Krumha. Now, President who said, Tabun do now quite renew. Ubia dear figures and amount on American. A difference and also be the same.
A difference, a bit dependent any panel originally, no time of submitting an application. On top of my head, on top of my head, I can say. On top of my head, I can say, before April.
Hey, Daddy.
Before April.
Daddy.
2024.
Let me bounce on it, Daddy.
April 2024.
You can't mute me, Daddy.
I
was like, movie before April 2024. I said, a blocker, I've been blocking you free.
I'm back, Daddy. Did you miss me?
And you know, over there, you did grow, over there, did you go? And you know, it be a 29,000. It be so
Hey, Daddy, I'm back.
It be a 29,000. It be so what do you call it? 18,600. And to buy after 2024, after April 2024, the amount is what do we call it? 29,000. And if you came after 29,000, if you came before, it's 18,600.
No. Oh, I guess amount on America make several year renewal. I'm funny say.
Oh, home office fees. Okay.
Yeah.
So home office fees.
Every time.
Home office fees. You're looking at home office fees. You are looking at at the moment the fee is the same. You need to pay home office fees. The fees currently is
I'm gonna be here the whole time, Daddy.
Home office fees is 1,407. Akwe, how do I block this guy? Home office fees is home office fee is 1,407. Immigration health surcharge fees is 2,587.50.
And you're gonna say, EU. EU now buy and now Unya ever so buy a beginning Unya by 5 years.
EU doesn't apply, so do not worry about EU.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And now, lastly, the buyer and now can be about Serbia.
Richard, shut up your pram.
A bear and you Serbia, oh, good on my if you night would do airport, Yachimo and I say, Yadile, one as a baby. I want to
get a job.
They now all can enter an army Busano.
It's for those people who basically were working in Ghana.
What's up, Sherry?
And they're working in Ghana and ABIA, free Ghana. But Nidin Edaso as a ghost name. The name is there as a ghost name. And Omsadi Jiskawo. And will be Chidi. So Banisani they are in that case, unfortunately, Udru Ghana, say Omo aye wild or honomo. Do Diakoto blacklist so. They will arrest you and Sika wabo abano chronobiano on bejo made. Entino sana ekosu say Obi honoma
Sherry, let me enter your back.
Obi honoma, wama ebia we free honomo, or any manager kwako ye deal. Do oni wo onye adwuma na edina ba be ghost name. And every month diano near discover to an account. It is covered to an account now what do we call it? You discover to an account to a new discount. When the boss any share, no so any share. See when it happens like that, then in that case, Omochiwa Obefis getting in about 3 weeks continuous. BNI have arrested so many people in that respect, whereby Omudu report on is basically. Because now Ghana they have this centralization of the system. Whereby as soon as you reach your name is the name is on record, and therefore straight away they're simply just going to arrest you and then deport you. That is that, so that's how it works now, so all that I would say is people have to be very, very careful and basically behave themselves. If you know that something like that is going on, then you have to be very, very careful, because if not, you get to Ghana, they will arrest you, go to BNI, and it's not comfortable. For the past 3 weeks, at least I know 3 people who have been detained at the airport. Some of them spent 2 days at BNI head office because they've been implicated in fraud. You know, they've been involved in fraud and that, you know. So I would say that, you know, basically, be careful. That's what I can say.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, that's it.
No problem at all. Anyone wanna come in?
Lawyer, good morning.
Hi, good morning to you.
What you say?
Nyamia Domboko.
Okay. Lawyer, me patrol. So we naturalization. We need the P60.
Sherry, shut up.
Patrol Kasawai.
Sherry, little tall. Show your babs.
Me patrol between P60 and pay slip and bank statement. Which one do you need for 5 years?
It doesn't matter which one, because you just need to demonstrate that you have been in this. You just need to show that you've been in this country for the number of.
Literally lead the life. Scared.
So you need to demonstrate that you've been in this country continuously for 5 years, and basically you can prove that by payslip, bank statement, water bill, electricity bill, you name it. You then be able to, if you like, use that as a proof of residence in the UK to support your application. So if you have 5 P60s for each year, that is fine. It does not necessarily have to be, you know, P60 or pay slips. It can be a mixture. It can be water bill, it can be gas bill, it can be electricity bill, you name it. Any other bill that you can get, by all means, you can use that to meet the financial, to meet the residential requirement.
Okay, lawyer, me patrol say me the pay P60 no account. Do I still need the pay?
Sherry, shut up.
Yes.
Hey, ask them more lawyer.
I say we don't know kushia boza. Makwara so be high again.
Now what you mean you need free?
Me say bia me jira say me block no kada me hunu so. What the uncle so you consent is
Sherry BA.
Enti ye jana no njimi sa. Pacho jirasuma boy, pacho jirasuma me. Enti Sherry pacho kasa.
Me patrol. Me say me the piece.
Sherry be my mommy.
Me pay slip a free one and say Nina me finding in account.
I mean, all that they need is 5 years proof of residence in the United Kingdom. So if I was you, I would use maybe every year I would take 3 pay slips. So for example, I would take maybe January, June, December for 2022. And then I will repeat the same. I will repeat the same for 2022, 23, 24, 25, 26. So that it shows consistent that you have not left the country for more than 6 months within each particular year. And you take it like that and you'll be fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Got someone on here. Let's take the person. Hello?
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon to you. Pacho, take to
It's from my board.
Pacho, you can talk.
Pacho, from Emmanuel Posumpim.
Okay.
Mr. of Scotland.
Okay.
Pacho, sister 4. One sister 4. No, say.
Daniel, shut up, you little transvestite.
Or what's a Clanton.
Right.
Pacho, may master me and the Yawan be. Some company booking many documents.
Are you speaking for your foreskin, mate?
Yeah. Before we find the chassis here.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be the idea grower. My block bako. Sorry. Pacho, they're not coming now. Oh, my man, tea, the work at a cry. I'm sorry about this.
Pacho's from Emmanuel Posumpim. Sister 4 of the Clanton.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I say a year now, will be, ma'am.
Mate, just hang up the phone, please. I beg.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Over to me, I'll send them a text message And then I would then call you back if that's okay.
Okay. When you sure the text message
just say hi or something like that, just to remind me that about, just say that you want to submit the application if I could call you back. Why?
Sherry,
Can I stick? And Uncle so higher than TikTok, and so I'm person block or more. Did you work in a disturb me?
Sherry, I'm sticking you back though.
Yeah.
Scotland.
And yes, why would you ever sort of something amount? Why? Me say Ghana number, but I can't Scotland, me who be a free bar. Why? Okay, no problem. Why? But I see. Pachobo TikTok is over so kasana.
Hello, Annie.
Okay, I find out. Young Kawai.
Lawyer Michelle.
Me Joseph.
Yeah, Mr. Engineer, I say.
Hey, Mr. Engineer, show.
Michelle,
is it who house what?
Madam Roma.
And you're easy, my very day.
Madam Roma. That's like horror dish which you men say, oh, brave, if you say your opponent.
Okay, Yanko.
Yeah. Banwa wanted to make a bit. Oh, Banoja, Oja, Kolaki, Twaba, 2 years. No, better than no ban, a quamben of a property.
Because the reality they say, from my memory, from the top of my head, or no ain't mean passing a citizen on automatically to the child. Let me look at the best option. There's an option with your application for entry clearance. You know, but there may be better option. Timami ain't looking into that amount. Why? On top of my head. I don't want to say this woman cry. I'm a cry more. And who say, when I'm not going to yet your BA program. What in baby, Mama Yasumunyo ye. And I'm more friend, I'm more kanzi munusa. Namaka said, because
you have a program, you over.
I saw Behaman as one of them. Kakubu sama case in on family. Kakubu sama Ginny. Remember that case in a permanent who say yes, on family agro.
Okay. And the main Florida Bena in your main ready to do.
Oh, dear, Mammy, next week, why, Mammy, and I push your football, as I told my dream. Maybe next week during the course of the week, I will look into that.
Okay.
Why?
Okay. You.
Okay, but that's it.
That's you, Mr. Bye
bye. Let me see a time the crossing, there about 9:10. You fridge with any day, Emran. Next week, Yami Adome Sabi. Now, I can't know when I saw Babette, on Fanny Musu and Co. Yet, yes, would you be canning? Yamako could give some swagunsa, I want a life or so. Next time, we will not go baby and penny for air castle more Macassa. A crowd bonny. Anyway, Yamiasi, Yami de Nache, Yabesation next week. Eti me jamo, Mama bye. Aye. For my job, so see upon.